who posted this is very much a guy who like goes to things that are in and kind of new.
Hmm.
So, oh, that is hilarious. Oh, nice. And they're going to be opening a second location in El Segundo, which is way closer to me
There you
in
go.
early spring, which will be located along the prominent PC8 Pacific Coast Highway. Oh, the lakes. Oh, it'll be part of a 9-hole municipal golf course. That is, what are the odds of that? I can't get over that. So random.
Yeah.
Now I got to go see. I don't think our mutual friend is on. I don't think he follows up. What is his?
I don't know, but the streaming gods are with us today. Like everything, like I turned the switches back on,
Everything just
and
worked.
yeah, I'm not
That's
gonna touch
great.
a damn thing.
Good. So we're live streaming.
Yep, both Facebook and YouTube,
Awesome.
so they can sit there and watch me eat my leftover Chinese food.
Is that what you're eating?
Yeah, very very mild General Tso's chicken.
Oh, nice. I actually love leftover Chinese food. So good.
If the rice had been in the same container as the chicken, I would have
Uh
just eaten it
huh.
cold. But it was two separate containers, and so the rice was all hard, and so I had to heat
Oh
it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. That is you're right. In terms of Chinese food leftovers, the rice is the most kind of hit or miss for me.
Yeah, normally if it's in the same container, then the sauce from the chicken, keeps it from doing that. But
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, stop that, please. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Last week I put a blanket over this thing and it helped a lot. I'm gonna go do that real quick. Hang on.
yeah,
Actually, I think the blanket is part of why that the lamp fell last week. If you remember that exciting moment.
yeah.
Yeah, this friend of mine that was at the Top Golf, he's also the one who works at South Park.
Hmm.
He's one of the he I believe he helps animate the mouths. At least that was the last that I had heard. But and they're right on our they're right on our same property that I work out of. So I
That's
saw
cool.
him years ago, but I haven't seen him since. I can't believe the Top Golf. Okay. Let me just make a note. I'm gonna do Top Golf and live stream. Live stream
So I got a
see.
question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
I mean, I know you. At least I assume you didn't work last night, overnight. But if you're
No.
working an overnight shift on the
Oh yeah.
night that time change happens, like in the
Yeah.
spring, do you just lose an hour of pay? Or is the
That
company like, we'll give you that extra hour?
I think it depends on the company. I think if you're talking about my terrestrial radio company, I'm pretty sure they would say like, yeah, no, you just you lose the hour. I don't know about the live streaming one. I think they'd be what I do know is this was the one day of the year that was nice because for overnight people because you get one less hour. You it's one less hour
Hmm.
that you have to be there. It's like oh my gosh, yes, three or 2 a.m. What is it? 3 a.m. magically 2 a.m. magically becomes 3 a.m. It's like oh my
Right.
god, a whole hour just passed. But yeah, I somehow having worked tons of overnights throughout my career have never worked during the time change. I think maybe because it's a Saturday to Sunday thing, and I normally
Hmm.
didn't do overnights on Saturdays. Um, so I don't know how the pay works. I'd have no idea how to put that on my timesheet. Like to
Right.
be honest, I'd probably just put it as normal and just hope that I'd just be like, well, this is on payroll to figure out, and if they don't figure it out, then they're gonna pay me the whole 8 hours, and that's fine, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I was falling asleep last night. I was like, once a year, payroll or
Well,
managers,
but
whoever,
then
have to figure this
you've got
out.
the reverse on the other side where,
Yes,
do you end up with 9 hours of pay? Because I don't
that's
think they could legally not pay you for an hour that you work.
it's funny because that's the flip side of it is in October, you're like, man, I had 2 a.m. became 2 a.m. again, so I get both those hours. Like I'm not gonna work for free. So yeah, I that my final thought on that was okay, they must have that set up.
Mhm.
Any company that's been around long enough and has overnight employees, they know what to do once those roll around,
Well, I mean, it may not become an issue anymore for you
Why?
because there's a lot of states that have decided that, once the federal level says it's okay, they're going to just like once the time change happens to be daylight saving, it's going to stay that way.
Oh, forever.
Yeah. Like they can go back and say, without federal approval, they can say, okay, we're not doing daylight saving time anymore. But in order to do daylight saving time, there has to be a federal approval for that. And there's like a
Okay.
bill right now that's co-sponsored by both parties. Like it's like Save Daylight or something like that. And like it's really stupid named because you're not saving daylight. But it's basically a bill that would basically allow the states to do that.
And then each state would decide, or
Yep.
because, or, okay, got it. And do you know? Do you have any info on that? Do you know if most states would choose to?
Um, I think it's like 30 some states. Um,
Yeah, because does daylight saving have a point at all anymore? Like,
I don't think
don't.
so.
'Cause- and this is where my scientific mind is not very sharp. Isn't a
Right.
day not technically 24 hours? It's like 23.9999 hours. So like,
Yeah, it's not exact. Yeah.
so like, doesn't that time add up over time? Like, won't we need at some point to have like a, you know, that's what I thought daylight saving was for the longest time.
No, it for some reason people are like, "Hey, we should shift stuff, so that way daylight saving isn't like or daylight isn't happening at 6 a.m. It's at 7 a.m." And I'm like, "What's it really matter? It gets dark a little bit earlier in the evening or something?" Like,
Oh, so
I
which would they keep it on?
they would keep it on daylight, so, like what it is now.
Oh, I hate that. I'd rather it be
So it
lower.
gets
Oh, yeah, no, would
darker
it?
later.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what I'd want. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so living in Indiana, it wasn't until high school or college that we started doing it, right? And I thought it was stupid because going to scout camp and everything, if you're doing like the astronomy merit badge,
Oh, yeah.
you can't do reasonably like do observations until 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
But then
Good
at the
point.
same time at camp, you're supposed to be able to sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's
So
funny.
you can't necessarily do both of those things when it doesn't get dark until really late.
It's like
And
living
so,
in the Pacific Northwest or in Alaska. I remember when I went to
right.
Portland for the summer, I was like, "Oh my God, it's 10 p.m. and the sun's still out. It's crazy." But no, you bring up a good point because I remember when I was in high school or maybe even college or after college living at home, my dad used to hate when we would switch to this time now, and I would always celebrate because I'm not a morning person, so
Hmm.
I could care less. But for him, he gets up really early and he hates that it's like dark when he gets up. It's hard for him to get ready.
Right.
And so I'd totally be in that boat too, but I never get up that early. So I'm more concerned about the afternoon. Like tonight, I know I work at 4 p.m. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be so happy when I'm driving and it feels like it's like noon.
No,
I
I get
love
that.
that. I love that feeling. Um, but
But
yeah, no, I mean
yeah.
it's everybody's affected differently.
Yeah, so it looks like there's 18 states that have passed, or 17 states that have passed legislation to go to year-round daylight saving. Maine, Delaware, Ohio, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Minnesota, Montana, Wyoming, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, and Utah. And
Wow.
evidently, you had an election in 2018 where the California voters authorized for that to happen, but there's not been any legislation
Oh,
passed yet.
wow.
So you
Wow.
you potentially voted on this already, Kevin, and you don't
I
realize it.
I know, I probably did. It does sound vaguely familiar. I'm pretty sure I voted in 2018, so I probably did vote on this. And I know. So does daylight saving have anything to do with agriculture and farming anymore, or was that just the scapegoat? Was that just
I
the?
I think that was kind of a scapegoat. I mean, back I it kind of became a big thing back during the world wars with trying to preserve gas and stuff like that and everything for electricity since that could be sent to the war machine
Yeah,
essentially
yeah,
from my
yeah.
understanding. But
I see.
yeah, I
Interesting.
mean, with the fact that we've got solar and wind power and hydroelectric,
We don't rely on one
yeah, we're not relying
power
on
source anymore.
petroleum and coal anymore as
Yeah,
much. I mean,
yeah.
some parts of the country, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana's still a big coal.
Are you guys
Mm-hmm.
like to power what? Your big factories
Yeah,
or
power
what?
plants,
Wow,
electric
coal,
power.
huh?
Yeah,
Where do they get the coal from?
the ground.
And but does Indiana have
So
coal mines?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Southern Indiana,
Oh,
where Emily's grandpa lives, you can drive a half mile and see a big open pit mine.
whoa, cool.
Hmm.
Dang,
Yeah,
that's
and like
crazy. I had no idea.
yeah, windmills. I get why people may not want to have windmills next to their house because some people it can actually cause vertigo and stuff like that. Like I
Just
get that.
from watching it, like
Yeah,
literally from seeing it.
yeah,
Wow.
or like and there is an audible sound to them as well.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
But I get not necessarily wanting those, but like around Muncie, there was a big solar project that was getting planned. Multi-million dollars. A bunch of money going to be going into the school district and stuff. And there's a bunch of people making noise because I think this is probably just greed more than anything. Because like one thing I saw was they were going to be surrounded by solar panels,
Oh.
but because all their neighbors were like signed on to the deal, but they didn't. So
Oh, I
in
see.
reality, I think it's more greed in that they're kind of pissed that they didn't get any of that money, but they're using
Yeah, they missed out.
underneath fields there's what's called tile and everything. It used to be clay pipes and now it's more corrugated plastic that help fields drain so they're not just full of water all the time.
Oh yes.
And
Uh-huh.
so they're using that as an excuse of why there shouldn't be solar panels. It's going to destroy those and stuff. And
Oh, but really they were late to the
I
party and now they're
I
finding a
think
reason.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like it's another county to the west of us. There you see signs saying "Say no to big solar" and stuff. And I'm like, what is the issue? Like, I can't wait to be able to afford to get solar panels on our property.
I know. Can you
Like,
imagine? How about
like
we
just
harness the thing that is constantly burning in the sky
well,
and
and you know, M's dad is his neighbor's got some solar panels that he runs his house on, and I know he's been kind of thinking about getting solar panels as well. And he's like, it's not. It's just a different form of harvesting the sun because he's a farmer. Like that's what he's doing is he's harvesting energy from the sun just in the
that's a
form of
great point.
crops.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
if I think if he can make money off of might do that. I don't know. Like there's nothing planned, no big projects planned around here as far as I know, but
It
like
is
even just getting solar panels for his house, it's just yeah.
it's pretty crazy to think about. All right, so let's take Emily's dad for example. He has an acre, let's say, of corn,
Hmm.
and he has the sun hitting on this, hitting obviously water everything, but the sun is hitting on
Yeah.
it. The things grow, they turn into money because he sells them. you take that same acre, you put solar panels on it, the sun hits it, and that provides energy that saves you money, or that provides money that you sell to other people. It's like you're right.
Yeah.
And it's not that you should do one or the other. It's that they're doing the
Well,
same
but
thing.
yeah, it's harvesting the sun, but if you're doing crops, you've got the gas or diesel that was used in the tractors to plant.
Sure, yeah.
You've got then, depending on the farmer, you're spraying fertilizer or herbicide, things like insecticides, and then you've got the gas or diesel that's used to harvest,
Mm,
and then transport all the crop.
mhm.
Solar, yeah, you've got the stuff going into making the panels and
Yeah,
installing the panels, and then maintenance.
yeah, yeah,
But then after that, it's just the occasional potentially clean off the panels.
yep,
If they've gotten dusty or something, just to raise their efficacy. And then
yeah,
you sit there and you get a rent check every year. I mean,
yeah, yeah. That's pretty sweet. I know.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's hard to argue there's much
especially
downside.
a lot of the corn that's grown around here goes into ethanol,
Oh yeah,
which then goes into gas. So
yep.
I mean, it's just
It's they're fueling each other, kind of,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just yeah.
What are gas prices out there right now?
4.25.
Yeah, we're about 550, 570.
Yeah.
I think average is probably about 550 here right now. It's
Yeah,
insane.
I
Yeah.
think we're at the national average. Like
Okay.
Indiana
Yeah.
tends to be like the national average.
Yeah, and LA
So
probably tends to be higher in gas price.
yeah,
It's insane. I was I'm really excited that the baseball strike is over, and I went and looked at Dodger spring training, which is in Arizona, maybe a
the
6 7
owners'
hour
strike, not
drive.
the players' strike.
I know exactly. Yes, it is. It was the
It
owner
was the
strike.
owners, not the players,
Yeah,
that caused that.
and MLB in general. Yeah, MLB and the owners. But uh, now that it's over, I thought, oh, it'd be great to make a road trip out to Glendale and see.
Right.
And then I realized in those words, I was like, oh my gosh, because I was looking at Airbnbs, I was looking how much
Hmm.
tickets cost, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, gas right now. This is a terrible time to get a
Right.
trip in a car anywhere. So it's
Makes
like,
you
all
wish
right,
you
I'm
had
gonna
an
save
electric
that.
car now, don't you?
I know, totally. Well, it's funny. Like I really like my car. I bought it 2 years ago. It's a Subaru Crosstrek, and
Hmm.
and it's not electric at all. It's not a hybrid. I couldn't afford any of that, but I did have that moment of, God, this would be the time to do it. I should at least,
Right.
And I'm not saying that I regret it because it is a big payment, but
I mean, you could look into selling your Subaru. It's
yeah,
possible that you could get more money out of it than what's owed on it.
really, why? Just
Car prices, like used
oh,
car prices, are through the roof.
is that right?
Oh yeah, like I was like Em and I have been looking at minivans
Uh huh.
because we're that family now. We need a minivan, but in the past, yeah, you'd save a lot of money on a used car, even if it's just like a year or two old. I was looking at a place that had a 2021 Toyota Sienna,
Mhm.
and like it was $49,000. But I mean, it was like a higher trim level.
Wow.
But I mean, there must have been something else special about it because that was $9,000 more than a brand new Toyota Sienna 2022 of the
Yeah.
same trim level. So
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what
yeah,
was different about it, but
and
I
the only
have
thing I could think of that was different is it was on the lot, like it's
yeah.
available.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it makes me wonder because I have been getting a lot of emails lately about see what your Subaru is worth, and it's probably because it's right at that time where I
Yeah,
could probably get a good penny for it.
yeah. I mean, there were people that make like their car was worth more than what they like originally bought it for. So,
Wow, that's insane.
and with Subaru being a good brand, that might be true for yours too.
Yeah, I should check, except that I have a scratch on the side and a dinged
I
up
don't think
bumper.
that'll matter.
It's because that's a quick aesthetic repair, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of paint, little new bumper. Yeah.
Yeah. worth thinking about. I'm so bad with. I don't like dealing with anything with finances, so
Right.
I'm like, oh no, I'd rather do the. But if it could save me some money, man, that would be a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Um, all right, dude. I just thought of something. Hang on. I have an olive green Dodger hat that I just remembered. And it's funny
That'll
because
work.
I bought it because every well, except this year there wasn't well, there might be. I was gonna say every year there's a spring training game on March 17th, and
Hmm.
the Dodgers do an all green hat, like a green, not like this green.
Right.
And I'm always tempted to buy one every March 17th, but I'm like, no, because I'd only wear it one day a year. I don't, and it's true, I wouldn't wear it any other days. But I bought this one because this I wear a lot of these kind of colors anyways,
Hmm.
and so I was like, and I can wear it on St. Patrick's Day, and it'll technically count. So I just
Yeah.
remembered that's why I bought it. Um, so
You want to go first, or you want me to this week? I think you went first last week.
um, yeah. So why don't you go first then?
Okay.
All right, cool. You want to hop in?
If you're ready, I think I'm
Yeah,
ready.
got my media board up. Um, yeah, okay. Here we go. I will hit it in three. Oops, let me turn this down. Three, two, one. John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. Do you have any Irish blood, John?
Yeah, like 8%,
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah,
Okay.
I've done the ancestry DNA. And I think I'm like 8% Irish and 23% Scottish. So
Okay. So
I've
you're
got some Celtic blood there.
yeah, you're culturally appropriate for this episode then is what you're saying.
Barely
Barely culturally, what did I say? Barely
appropriate.
culturally appropriate for this episode. That's what we strive for.
Yeah,
That's John.
we're trying not to appropriate.
I'm Kevin. Yeah, we're trying not to appropriate as much as possible. We are doing a St. Patrick's Day episode because this episode drops on St. Patrick's Day, which is
Yep.
kind of funny in the podcast world. And I think we're still learning the rhythm a little bit, but like probably most people who listen to us aren't going to listen to this till like a couple days after St. Patrick's Day. But,
Hmm.
that's the downside of a holiday actually falling on a day that we drop an episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've what's been our sort of MO on holidays? How have we been doing this, John?
You do fun stuff. I do history stuff that makes us think and then question whether or not we should actually celebrate that holiday.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You know, it's true, and I don't mean to laugh at it, but it's like it's not always fun looking into the
No,
history of holidays, right? It's
no,
sort
it's
of
not.
like and but I don't think that's our actual goal is to be like,
No,
let's look at the history and stop celebrating. But when we were kids, when we were in high school or whatever, you hear, oh, St. Patrick's Day, everyone wears green and drinks a bunch,
hmm,
and it's like, wait a minute, but literally nobody knows. And then the internet was born, and everyone's like, wait a minute, is this why we're doing this? Is this why
right?
we're doing this? So like, I don't know. I'm not here to judge you if you're going out on St. Patrick's Day to drink green beer and wear a bunch of green. I'm gonna wear green. I'm wearing my green Dodger hat right now, my olive green that barely counts. Um, but I'm just I'm also an old man. I'm not the type to go out and dress as a leprechaun and drink green beer on
Right.
St. Patrick's Day anymore.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be too bah humbuggy about it, but yeah,
I mean, if I happen to be, wherever, Flogging Molly happens to be playing on St. Patrick's Day, I
yeah,
might go to the concert. But yeah, normally it might, if there was a good pub around here, I might go there, but there
yeah.
isn't. So, and you shouldn't drink and drive, so I'm not going to go driving a half hour away just to go to a good bar.
Yes, yes. I did not include this question because I couldn't find there were so many different answers on this, but a lot of people think St. Patrick's Day is the biggest drinking holiday, but no, it's not. It's like fourth or something. It's the fourth biggest behind. I think New Year's Eve is up there, Christmas Day is up there, 4th of July is up there, and then some people on there, which is crazy to me because I don't think of Mardi Gras as a drinking holiday at all. Like for like I don't celebrate. I've never gone out on Mardi Gras, but I guess if you're, anyways, it is. I echo what John said. If you are drinking on St. Patrick's Day or any day, designate a driver. Be safe. Call a Lyft or Uber. So yeah, St. Patrick's Day history, St. Patrick's Day fun. Got anything else you want to say on that for now?
I know the term pagan gets used a couple of times in my questions. And I actually, while I was making the questions, I'm like, pagan was kind of it seemed like almost like a derogatory term that, Christians, Catholics used. And so I actually reached out to a friend of mine, and she said that that's actually how she identifies as a pagan. So if you feel like that's kind of a bad word, it sounds like it's not necessarily a bad word anymore. So
can you clarify that? Like, what this friend that identifies as pagan? What does that mean? What is the non-traditional? What is the traditional word that we've used?
Go back to what she told me.
Okay. I mean, is it in place of Irish? It's not.
No. So paganism is a religion.
Okay.
And like witchcraft would be a practice. Paganism is a religion.
Okay. Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. All right.
Just like Catholicism or, Christianity, Muslim, paganism.
Yes. Okay. So. All right. Got it. All right. I'm on board. We're tidying up before we even get to the tidy up section. You ready for tidy up then?
I am.
All right, let's hit it.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
So the first thing I want to tidy up,
yeah.
I get the feeling this doesn't affect too many people, but I do want to call it out because it did affect one of our public-facing social medias.
What's that, Ranger Gouda?
We use this great program that we like for, it's like an online studio where John and I log in, and when we bring guests on, we send them a link to it and they can hop on and join us, and it's a great way to record their audio, isolate their audio. It's, without getting too much into the technicality, we love the system. It's also what we use to live stream. So as I've talked about many a time before, I'm working on this children's project, Gouda Wooda. I'm Ranger Gouda. I'm a forest ranger on the mythical Mustache Island, mystical. And I had a friend of mine on who's doing some voices for me. I sent him a link to this same studio that we use. He came on. Little did I know that button, I was sending out our Lack of Genius live stream to our socials. And so if on a random Wednesday, I think it was, you saw that Lack of Genius was streaming and you popped on and you couldn't figure out who that other guy was that I was talking to, that was my friend Milton. He's helping me do some voices. So I was live streaming as, you know what? I'll say the spoiler. I was Ranger Gouda. He's playing my good friend, my character's good friend. He's a squash whose name is Squashua, and his friends call him Squash for short. And that's the voice that he was doing. So I apologize, and you're welcome at the same time if you happen to hop in. What, John? Yeah, appropriately done. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. John sends me a text and he's like, hey, Ranger Gouda, you're live streaming on Lack of Genius's YouTube right now. Okay, so error on Kevin. The other tidy up, I heard from listener Erica, who happens to be my sister. She texted me during the golf episode, literally as she was listening, and she was like, her exact text said, she was talking about our friend Eddie. Eddie just posted a video from those gold tower things John was talking about, I'm like, gold tower things. What is she? I realized she typoed gold. She meant golf tower things. And even that, I was like, what is, she was talking about Top Golf, which John mentioned in the golf episode. They're the things that are like 4 stories high, 5 stories high, whatever. And you just drive golf balls out. And last week, if you listened, I was not sure that those existed in Southern California. I was like, I'm sure they do, but I've never seen one. Turns out, as I just Googled, Southern California just opened its first ever Top Golf like yesterday, like this week. And my friend, in fact, was probably at like, because he gets into cool events, he was probably at like a special like check it out before anyone else showing of it. So we just opened our first one in Ontario, California. I'm very excited that a new one is opening in El Segundo, which is much closer to me. That's in the South Bay, and I'm on the west side, if you know LA. So you better believe I'm going to be sitting on the 4th floor in an air-conditioned golf cubby, driving some golf balls like Happy Gilmore. So, all right, man. I think that's good enough. Did you have anything?
You gonna wear your hockey sweater?
I'm gonna wear my Boston Bruins sweater for sure, and my baggy orange pants. Okay, let's hit the quiz time if I can find it. There it is.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Like a genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby. It's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby. It's quiz time.
Oh yes, John, John's about to school us on some history for St. Patrick's Day, and I'm doing only fun stuff because my brain is not very good. And John's going to ask the first question about St. Patrick's Day. A very happy St. Patty's to you and yours, by the way.
You too. So, what century was St. Patrick alive?
God, you always ask a century question, John. You know I hate them. You know I hate these questions. Okay, so you're saying St. Patrick was a real person?
He was a real person.
Yes, we talked about saints before because I was kind of confused about what they were, and that was what we learned a few weeks ago. So what century was St. Patrick alive? Go ahead.
The 2nd, the 5th, the 13th, or the 17th?
Wow, and they're not even consecutive centuries. They're all over the place. All right, so the 2nd century was the year 100 to 199. I can say that. I'm looking at. Did you hear how confidently I said that right now? The trick is you just subtract 1. You just subtract 1. Yes, it is. Don't ask me with a question mark. Yeah, this is a wide range. I mean, especially if we got the 2nd century, 5th century, 13th, and 17th. 2nd to 17th, that's a pretty broad range. I'm going to pretend like I have some kind of knowledge on this, but I don't. For some reason, the 5th century is jumping to my mind, like I've seen this before. But really, it's just going to be my random guess. I'm going to go with the 5th century, John.
You are.
Oh,
correct.
Yeah. Look at me with my non-lack of genius.
Yeah. So according to something called the Declaration, and I don't know exactly what that is, to be honest, but it was supposedly something that was written by St. Patrick. He was alive in the 5th century. He was born in Roman Britain to a wealthy Romano-British family. His father was a deacon, and his grandfather was a priest in the Christian church. And then, evidently, at the age of 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken as a slave to Gaelic Ireland. So this was before, Christianity was there. He evidently spent 6 years there, and then, according to the Declaration, God told Patrick to flee to the coast where there would be a ship waiting to take him home.
Wow.
And then once he was there, he then decided to go back and convert Ireland.
That is wild. Okay. So in the 400s, in the 5th century, and is that's essentially what gave him his sainthood, was that he converted a bunch of people? I mean, not to, okay.
Yeah.
He did a lot for the religion. And so it's like, oh, you're a saint. Okay. Got it. All right, 5th century. That goes very far back. Young St. Patrick, not so
It
young
does.
St. Patrick. You ready for my first one about fun?
I am.
All right, so we all know finding a 4-leaf clover is considered lucky and is a symbol of St. Patrick's Day. What are the odds of actually finding a 4-leaf clover? Is it 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, or 1 in 100,000?
I know it's not super common, but it's also not super rare. I think it's the 1 in 1,000.
Is that what you're going to go with?
Yeah.
1 in 1,000 says John. That is incorrect. You were off by, well, it's the next one, 1 in 10,000. And you are right. It's not the most rare thing in the world, even though it's so funny. I've always wanted to find a 4-leaf clover, never have found one. And
I think I have, but I don't remember.
well, interestingly enough, they say that the kind of the harder you look for it, the less likely you are to find it. They literally say because of the way our brains work at picking up patterns, the best way to do it is to go through a field of clovers and just kind of like stroll around and move your shoe around a little bit and see if anything, once something jumps out to you is like, oh, that's
Right.
abnormal, then you look. So the clover, by the way, it's the white clover, Trifolium repens. Trifolium has the TRI in it because of the tri, because they're supposed to have 3 leaves on them. And these are, I always associate this clover with like a soccer field, but like when the grass starts to grow and these little white flowers start to grow that you see everywhere, that is the clover plant. That is a traditional clover plant.
And that's what a lot of honey is made from, too.
Yeah, and I was going to say there's something about how it attracts a lot of bees, so that's good to know. I did not know this. The hey, knock it off, you guys. Come here. The way that a 4-leaf clover can grow is really mainly just genetics, just the way that the genes, but also the way that the soil is and the temperature and the pollution around the area. So they say if you find a 4-leaf clover, your odds are actually higher that you'll find another one in the area because the area lends itself well to growing them.
Cool.
Guys. Okay, and 2 more quick facts on these is that there can be 5-leaf clovers, 6 leaves, even 7-leaf clovers. Though they're very rare. And the last thing that I enjoyed learning a lot on this is that technically all of these clovers are 1-leaf clovers because the little leaves that come out of them are actually leaflets. So it has 3 leaflets, but they're all collectively 1 leaf. So technically everyone finds a 1-leaf clover. So you can tell your friends that fact when you're drinking your green beer on St. Patty's Day. All right.
And evidently, I didn't put this as a question, but evidently one of the things that people do is they'll put a clover in their beer and then drink it.
I have heard this before as well. I've heard this before, which I guess if you're just doing 1 clover, no big deal, but multiple clovers might be not so good.
Yeah.
My dogs are having WrestleMania. Let me see if they'll get it out. I would lock them outside, but they're gonna. Hey,
You're
come here.
fine.
Come here. God, they're like, this is like max craziness for them too. I think this is what happens when I don't pay attention to them.
Probably.
They're like, all right, well, we'll just keep each other company, which is good, which is why I got the second dog.
Right.
Okay, guys. Okay. Oh, I got an idea. Hang on. All right, we'll see how long that lasts. I got a mute button now, so I just mute. You couldn't hear me.
I
say
heard
that,
all
right?
of that.
Could you really? No,
No.
you didn't. Okay, good. Yeah. So if they're barking, if they're making noise while you're talking, just know that I'm gonna mute it.
Yeah, you just have to remember to unmute it.
I know exactly. I literally keep my finger on the button until so that I don't forget. So now you'll know if you can't hear me why that's the case.
Yeah. You ready for the
All
next
right.
one?
Yeah, number 2 on St. Patrick's Day history.
Yeah. March 17th is celebrated as the blank of St. Patrick. Birth or death?
Wow. Oh man, you're giving me a 50-50 shot here. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
you have 2 true or false questions coming up. Lucky you. Um, March 17th is celebrated as is it the birth or the death of St. Patrick? I'm leaning towards death. Death is calling my name. Death is knocking at my door. I'm gonna pick death. I don't know for sure, but I that's my logical guess. Death. All right.
Yep. Yeah. I guess they decided to just use the day that he supposedly died, March 17th.
I remember with the Christmas episode, I want to say, like,
Mhm.
they had to do their best estimate of when Jesus was born or when Jesus. It's crazy how much I forgot. Like, do they know that St. Patrick died on March 17th, 400 whatever, or 100 what? No, yeah, 400 whatever. Or did history has
That's
had
just
to.
what tradition holds it to be.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's one that actually, is legit or if it's, shifted or what.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
it is something that's interesting is that since it is a feast within the church, both Catholic and Anglican. I forget which one it is, but one of them will actually move the day if it happens to be part of Holy Week.
Oh, interesting. That's random. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So that way,
There.
because it's almost always during Lent, like it actually Lent gets lifted for that day,
Mm.
and that's why drinking is such a big thing on that day. But
Oh, gotcha. Oh, that's funny. Is that part of what the
Mhm.
tradition of drinking for St. Patrick's Day is? Is that part
yeah,
of it?
that's kind of
That's it? Wow, I never put that together because Lent is over and now we can do all our bad habits again.
but it's only over for a day.
Oh, just one. Oh, it's just like a reprise in. Is that the right
Right.
word? It's like a little break in
A reprieve, I
fast.
think.
Okay, reprieve. Yeah, a reprieve. That's
Yeah.
it. Yes. Oh, very fascinating. Okay, so we're celebrating the death of St. Patrick every March 17th. Go us. No, I like that.
Yep.
I mean, look, I don't know if I'm going to learn things about St. Patrick that I don't like, but I think that's cool to honor the life. When you're honoring the death of someone, you're also honoring the life of them. I think
Yeah.
about that with a lot of memorial services that we see these
Mhm.
days, and I know, as much as I don't like to have these morbid thoughts, I think, man, if I died, I'd really not want to have a somber funeral. I'd really want
Right.
there to be, people, whatever, joining together, being happy.
You'd want to wake.
Exactly. Yeah. A wake is much different than a funeral. Yeah. So anyways, all right, cool. Well, man, I'm 2 for 2. Look at me go. You're
Yeah.
0 for 1 so far, but let's see
I
how you do
am.
on number 2 about St. Patrick's Day fun. True or false? Most green beer is made by adding green dye.
So I guess it depends on your definition of dye. Because if you're, say you're adding an ingredient that would also make it green, is that adding dye?
No, no, my question is dye specifically.
Like food coloring?
Yeah. Most green beer is made by adding green dye or green food coloring.
I'm going to say true.
Okay,
That'd
you're
probably be
choosing.
entirely wrong.
True is it is wrong. See, now I don't know. You tell me if this was fair or not. Most green beer is actually made by adding blue dye. That's what the hint was, because beer has a yellow color. You add
Right.
blue to it, and it makes a perfect. And that sort of blew my mind. No
Yeah.
pun intended. Blew my mind.
I think my brain just completely skipped over the fact that it said green.
Yeah. That was. I was like, John's either gonna see it right away, or it's gonna slip past him.
Yeah.
There was no middle ground. And it's funny because I don't think I've ever heard that, but it totally makes sense once you
Mhm.
hear it. It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, duh. I add blue instead
Mhm.
of blue and yellow makes green. We learned that in kindergarten,
Yep.
apparently. And yeah,
Or
so
even pre-kindergarten.
yeah, you learn that at a very young age. So you can still add green dye. Green dye
Yeah.
will still work, but blue tends to work even better. So there's your fun tip for the day if you're looking to make some blue beer this weekend. I mean, some green beer this weekend. Good luck if you want to make blue. I don't know what to tell you there.
I think it's doable.
It probably is. In fact, yeah, maybe make some blue beer and show me how it's done.
It's called you add blueberries.
Exactly. Oh, that sounds bomb. Okay, all right. 0 for 2 and 2 for 2. I'm 2 for 2. Wow.
Yeah.
Did not see this coming.
Why is the shamrock significant?
Oh.
It's reminiscent of the hat St. Patrick wore. They remind people of Ireland. It was used to teach the pagans about the Trinity, or it was used to make whiskey.
Oh my goodness. It's used to make whiskey. Okay, so I think I can say this now. I don't, because now that we're past the beer question, I want to say that I read something about people would add a bunch of clovers to their beer to make it green, and that just sounded totally unhealthy. Like one clover is fine, but if you're gonna add a bunch, that's you're playing with fire there.
I don't think that'd be
bel-
too bad for you.
yeah, I guess, I mean, it is an organic material. I guess it's not the
Yeah.
worst thing in the world.
I mean, it would be just like spinach or
Yeah, I
something
guess
like
as
that.
long as you wash it before you pick it out of the
Yeah.
ground. I guess I'm envisioning just picking them out of the ground and throwing them in your cup. Um, so I'm pretty sure this one, the Trinity is something that I'm familiar with and that I know that the three leaves somehow represent. So I'm going to say C, used to teach the pagans about the Trinity. The pagans.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that it's the tradition holds. They think that St. Patrick probably may have used the shamrock as a, the three leaves or the three leaflets, as Kevin stated earlier.
Leaflets, yes.
He would use that as a means of talking about the Holy Trinity. Um, you know, three was something that was already very big in the Irish and pagan worlds before the Trinity. So that's probably, some people think that's why it was fairly easy for St. Patrick to get people converted to Christianity. Was three was already seen as a thing. So
Three is a pretty universal number in our world and in our culture in general. If you think about like
yeah.
three acts to plays, 3 acts to movies, you got the rule of thirds in photography. You got a lot of 3s out there, and so it's funny because a 4-leaf clover is good luck, but it's different than
Right.
it's not the thing that we want. I did read somewhere about like each clover represents say, like hope, joy, and something else, and then the fourth one is luck. So if you find the fourth one, it's supposed to be luck. But all right, cool. Well, we are learning. Let's see how you do on number 3 about St. Patrick's Day fun. This is close to you, or this is geographically close to you.
It is.
A group. So as we know, the Chicago River gets dyed green every year. A group of which Chicago workers? Let me try that again. A group of which Chicago workers union is responsible for dyeing the Chicago River green each year? Which union? Is it the Bricklayers Union, the Painters and Decorators Union, the Asbestos Workers Union, or the Plumbers Union?
I mean, I'm almost positive I've heard this before,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember.
So you have some familiarity with the fact
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's a union. You just can't
Yeah.
remember which one. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Just the mere fact that it was a union blew my mind. I just assumed it was like the city council or something
No,
like that.
it's Chicago. If there's something happening, there's a union involved.
Union. Yeah, good point. Good point.
I'm just gonna go with the Plumbers Union.
Locking in the Plumbers Union. Mario and Luigi doing their thing.
Yep.
That is correct, John. Woo! Yeah, the Plumbers Union, Local 130. Every year, it's their tradition. They use their dye. They use 3 boats. They have 2 boats that are going around and pouring the quote unquote secret sauce into the river, and then one that's going in and mixing it up and spreading it out. It's pretty cool, especially watching like a time lapse of that happening. But the dye is, they don't tell the secret formula, but the dye is basically this. They used it to detect leaks in pipes. So like they would dye the water. I guess I don't know exactly how, but you would dye the water, and then once you see the green water, you know that's where the leak is coming from, something along those lines. So it's, but the funny thing about it is that this kind of goes back to what kind of the beer question that you asked. It's a powder, and the powder is not green. It's actually like a reddish orange color. And then but for some reason, when it reacts with the water, it turns it that bright emerald green color. So, and first time they did that was in 1961. So it's always for the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Chicago, which started in 1956. But 5 years into it, there's some story about how like somebody saw a plumber in his like coveralls, and they were white coveralls, but they were covered in this green. And somebody asked, like, what is that all about? And then the rest is history. And now we get a Green River every year.
Yeah, I mean, and they do that in Indy as well. I don't know if it's the Plumbers Union that does it, but there's a canal that goes through Indy, and they dye it green every year.
No way. That's cool. I wonder what union does it for them.
And here's an interesting fact about the Chicago River.
Yeah.
They've actually changed the direction that it flows.
Who has?
The people of Chicago, engineers.
What? Tell me more.
Yeah, so, it used to flow into Lake Michigan, and it was just causing, and a lot of people got their water from Lake Michigan back in the day. And so, you had this river going in, and then, human waste and pollution and all that was just kind of sticking around the port in Chicago. And so to make life healthier, they forced the river to go the opposite direction.
John,
knowledge bomb.
You just dropped some serious knowledge on us. How do you even change the direction of a river? Like, how do you even do that? You just blow really hard? Engineering, yeah. Is that civic engineering?
Yeah, I think the Army Corps of Engineering was a part of this, but
so it instead of running into Lake Michigan, now it runs out of Lake Michigan. They changed the direction. Right. That is wild. Wow. That is a go plumber union. Let's just give the plumber union all the credit for that as well. That's pretty impressive, John. I appreciate your knowledge and the bombs that you drop on us.
Yeah, I'm looking to see when that happened. And it used to be a river, but now it's more of just a series of canals, or I guess it's a system of rivers and canals.
Okay. Oh, got it. I see. As opposed to one flowing stream of something,
right.
It kind of spreads throughout.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So they really changed the course or changed the direction it flowed, mainly with using canals and stuff. It looks like. If you go to the Wikipedia page for the Chicago River, there's actually a couple maps on the right side that kind of show how it was done.
Wow.
But it looks like it was done in when was it done? Early or late 1800s, early 1900s.
So the next time you're feeling like you can't accomplish a goal, I want you to go to the Chicago River Wikipedia page and be like, they made a river go in a complete different direction, and I'm worried about passing a math test. Like, you got this in you. You believe in yourself. Anything is possible.
Yeah. 1900 was when it was done. So they completely reversed the flow of the main stem and south branch of the river using a series of canal locks.
That was before the internet even existed. 1900s, man. See, anything's possible. That's mighty impressive, John.
Yeah, and it was evidently in 1999 named a Civil Engineering Monument of the Millennium by the American Society of Civil Engineers.
As it should have. That is basically the most significant civil engineering thing to happen in the 1900s. And it happened at the very beginning of the 1900s, which is the 20th century, by the way.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it could have been very similar to the Cuyahoga in Ohio. I guess very similar, environments in a way, very industrial, but residents evidently referred to the Chicago River as the Stinking River. And the Cuyahoga, I think it was the Cuyahoga, is the one that caught on fire at one point because it was so polluted.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus, that's got to be really bad.
Yeah.
Man, that's gonna be LA's Pacific Ocean pretty soon here, man. I swear. Oh wow. Damn, John. I love your well, you are an environmental science major, so I shouldn't be surprised by by your amazing knowledge. But yeah, that's super fascinating.
So yeah,
All right.
that's
Well,
the Chicago River.
in terms of our quiz, you just got your first one right on the fun one, so you're
Mm-hmm.
1 for 3. I'm 3 for 3, which is madness. Let's see if I can open the door for you or keep the streak going on number 4 about history.
What is it that St. Patrick is done? Drive out the snakes, get rid of the rats, invented whiskey, or invented beer?
I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, and I did not. This is not something I learned from school, so I'm not giving any credit to education right now. If assuming they were correct, I learned this from the television show The Simpsons, and I can't even I can't even remember what happens in the episode. All I know is I've definitely seen. I think they did a parody of it. Maybe snakes took over Springfield or something. I don't remember, but I know that The Simpsons taught me that St. Patrick drove out the snakes from Ireland, so I'm going to choose drive out the snakes, quote unquote. All right, now tell me why snakes are in quotes, though. That's what's interesting to me here.
That is an allegory for pagans.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Pagans meaning non-religious people, basically.
Non-Christian people.
Non-Christian people. So they could be, they could have any religion or beliefs that they want, but if they weren't Christian.
Well, remember, we kind of talked at the beginning here where paganism is a religion.
Yes.
So this was specifically focused on a specific group of people.
So what? I mean, I'm sure there wasn't a Muslim or Jewish population or whatever. Maybe there was,
Right.
but they specifically drove out the pagans. And so, wait a minute. So
And by drove out, either converted or killed.
or killed? No way. And that's what we celebrate every year, technically.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, So wait a minute. There were no snakes. Like, I don't mean that disparagingly.
Not really.
Like, there. Now, is there a chance? And it's okay if you don't know this. Is there a chance that, like, there was a snake infestation that happened to
There
overlap
wasn't.
with the time? There wasn't, and then
No.
history just rewrote it that way. It's just that's
Yep.
how history wrote it from the beginning.
Well, it was. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it was history, but it was the church. Think about what the snake represents in the Bible, right?
Yeah, the Garden of Eden, temptation,
Right.
The apple,
devil.
Yeah, the devil.
So they were driving out the devil. That's what St. Patrick did.
Wow. That is insane to me. So yeah,
Mhm.
this is literally, I mean, genocide, right? I mean, is that?
I mean, I don't know if it's too strong of a term, but I mean, you could definitely, I think, consider it that. Not to, say, other genocides that have happened. I don't know how many people died. Not to. I don't want
not to
to
diminish it, I get it.
devalue that term.
Yeah,
I
I get
guess.
what you're saying. Yep. Or devalue the lives that were lost as a result
Right.
of this, just because they weren't as big as another,
Right.
travesty. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and so my friend, she actually, brought up the fact that St. Patrick's Day is kind of a sore day for him, just like Columbus Day is for Native Americans.
Native Americans. Wow.
And think about that before she told me that, and I'm like, is this something that I should be celebrating now?
Yeah. What did she say?
Yeah, it's and we kind of stopped the conversation there because I just said I was going to bring that up on the podcast. But is St. Patrick's Day really celebrating St. Patrick anymore? Or is it
Yeah.
more celebrating Irish heritage? Because yes, paganism got driven out, the snakes were driven out or whatnot, but there was still a lot that kept all those that culture and heritage alive.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Well,
you know, and it, you know, especially after the troubles ended in Ireland, um, you know, whether or not you believe there should be a unified Ireland, that's your decision. You know, it's a very complex situation, but you know, the Irish heritage is starting to be more allowed
yeah.
to the flourish and everything. Um, so I don't know.
Well,
It's a difficult decision. You know, you know, should you celebrate St. Patrick's Day or should it just be Irish Heritage Day? You know,
yeah. That's exactly the thought that comes to mind is that, I guess a couple thoughts come to mind. One is that, yeah, to sell it's almost like Thanksgiving, how
hmm
no I would say that the majority of people who celebrate Thanksgiving are by no means trying to celebrate the genocide of a people, but we have to acknowledge that that's part of the history of it.
yeah,
But I listened to a podcast that our listener Dylan sent us about Native Americans who gather every year with the intent of using it as intentional time to be together with family, like
hmm
even a Native American family. And this is just one example, obviously, but um, is it and St. Patrick's Day is a little bit tricky because it's not this holiday that people gather for family and for love. But yes, does it honor Irish people and Irish culture and Irish heritage? Sure, yeah, it does.
yeah,
And that doesn't necessarily mean most people who are Irish and celebrate St. Patrick's Day are likely not fans of genocide,
right.
or whatever term we want to use. So yeah, that's very. I think this is a great
Well,
lesson
and
in knowing your
yeah,
history, but uh,
and
not
well,
being
I mean, and I
disrespectful.
don't know if this is your last question or not, but you know, it St. Patrick's Day was a bigger thing outside of Ireland for a
Oh yeah,
very long time than it was actually in Ireland.
is that right? No, I
Um,
don't. I didn't
yeah,
have anything on that.
yeah. Yeah, the Irish diaspora outside of Ireland is really what caused St. Patty's Day to get to where it is now.
Wow,
You know,
wow, wow.
it's gotten bigger within Ireland since then, but you know, and it was mainly a like a religious feast um, to begin with, and now it's kind of gotten into that mainstream. You know, more it's all about everything Irish than not. So
Yeah, and I guess I don't know that I'm in a place to make a decision. Obviously, I'm not here to make a decision for other people, but for myself, I think I already said at the top of this episode, I don't go out and do much for St. Patrick's Day,
right.
anyways. Never really have. I don't think I have any Irish in me, but in the future, I think I'm gonna, I'm definitely gonna be aware of the history now and cognizant of it.
hmm
But yeah, I'm gonna look at it as a celebration of a people and a culture, rather than of this person who was wrongly written in history about. I look at, I mean, you look at Columbus Day. You already mentioned that,
Right.
but like we've renamed that to Indigenous Peoples Day, which I love. I think that's great.
But not
I
federally.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was gonna say. I think in California we did that. So I would hope that that gets recognized. God, that's a whole nother thing.
hmm
The internet has opened the world up in so many ways. You can say what you want about the negative things it's done. It's at least made people woke. And I never thought of us as a woke podcast, but I feel like we're woking people right now, John.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you're
and
woking me.
if you don't believe in the internet, one, how are you listening to us? But two, there is a fantastic book out there called "The People's History of the United States."
Oh yes, I've heard of
Um,
this.
it's by Howard Zinn. You know, if you've never seen Goodwill Hunting,
Uh
he
huh.
gets talked about. That book gets talked about.
It's a great
It's
movie.
oh yeah, fantastic movie. You know, and it's not fiction. I mean, it's straight up history as it was. You know, talking about Columbus and you know the smallpox blankets and stuff like that. You know, the struggles of you know pretty much every other person other than white people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the real history, not the history that we want it to be.
Yep, which is what history was for most people our age growing up.
Yeah.
That was what the history that we learned is. What's the name of the book again?
People's History of the United States, and there are different versions of it. You know, it gets updated every so often. Howard Zinn, who wrote the book, I think has since died, so I don't
Yeah.
know if it's still being updated or not.
Oh,
but-
I get it. It's being updated as more and more things are being kind
Mhm.
of uncovered. Wow.
Well,
I
as history is happening too.
yes. Wow. Oh,
So-
because history is happening and it's like this is what we were told, this is what actually was
Right.
happening. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. What a world we live in. I actually think when I think of Howard Zinn, is it Z-I-M?
N.
Z-I-N-N.
ZINN. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's his Howard Zinn. I think about Manchester College because
Yep.
Aaron, who I was dating at the time, and a lot of the people at Manchester College were really big on this. And I
Well, and he
wanna
came
say
and spoke.
that
Yeah.
probably is what it is. I think it was a big deal when he came and spoke, and it was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, he's coming here. So
I've got a
yeah,
signed copy of the book.
that's fantastic. All right, well, that's my next read. I'm gonna learn how to read first, and then I'm gonna buy the book, and then I'm gonna read it. Those are my 3 steps. Okay, well, you ready for a total gear shift now? Total just like
I
slam
am.
on the brakes and we're going to talk about the Shamrock Shake. Oh, no, we're not. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead. Spoiler alert, number 5 is about the Shamrock Shake. I thought we were on number 5, but we're on number 4. True or false? Oh my God, this is so. The largest gathering of people dressed as leprechauns was set in the United States. Is that true or is that false?
That definitely seems like something we would do, so I'm gonna go with true.
You're choosing true. That is incorrect. I agree 100% that it seems like something we would do. It actually was set in Ireland. So I guess that makes sense. I originally had that question written as was set in Ireland, and then I thought, let me change it to United States. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Ireland has the record for, so the largest gathering of people dressed as leprechauns. Not even that big of a number, in my opinion, 1,263. I guess that's pretty modest. I guess that's a lot of people. In Bandon, Ireland. This was in March on St. Patrick's Day, 2012, 1,263. They also hold the record for, see, now this one I would not stand for. I guess I don't know about the history of leprechauns either. I got to learn that, but they also have the record for the largest gathering of people dressed as St. Patrick, which you'll be happy to know is less than the leprechaun people. It's 882, set in 2013. And this one, I definitely stand by this one. They have the largest gathering of people dressed as the Hulk. I say we celebrate the Hulk every St. Patrick's Day as our new green fixture. 574 people dressed as the Hulk on Castle Blaney, Ireland, on July 13th, 2012. So they got a lot of green.
I'm okay with leprechauns. That's a fairly Irish heritage thing. So
that's more of a, and that's one thing I didn't dig into is what the history of leprechauns are. It's so funny because growing up, my parents always went big on holidays, and this is no discredit to my mom. She went big too, but my dad was really into them. And I could be wrong on this. Maybe it was my mom, or maybe it was actually leprechauns. But they'd cut out like little footprints of like little green construction paper footprints and put them around it. So we'd wake up in the morning and we'd find, oh my gosh, the leprechauns were here. And it was like, I love that. I thought it was so cool and fun. And I don't know. I don't see that as.
I could be wrong, but my understanding of the mythology of leprechauns is they're not exactly that great of a thing to have around. They're more
really?
Yeah,
they're mischievous. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying evil, but they're not necessarily good things either.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about that is that was the other thing that the leprechauns would do in my house. I did air quotes, you can't see them. Is they like the clock would be tilted sideways or something would be upside down. They basically the idea was that the leprechauns came and they wreaked havoc on our house in cutesy fun ways. But that would hold true to the history that you're talking about. Yeah. Well, there you go. Wow. So
yeah.
Man, we're moving right along. Now we're on number 5 for history, where I'm 4 for 4. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a lot of pressure here. So I won the episode, we know that, but I could go.
Yeah.
I could go perfect here.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Oh my gosh.
So when did St. Patrick's Day become a national holiday in Ireland?
Oh boy.
1603, 1703, 1803. Or 1903.
Well, you may have inadvertently given me a clue to this because you mentioned how Ireland didn't even really celebrate St. Patrick's Day till after other people. So that I'm going to take that as a clue that it's probably something later. And in fact, like I don't think I ever would have chosen 1903 without that, but because you said that, I'm going to say that it's the shocking one that it was 1903. I would expect that it was earlier, but I'm going to choose it just based on what I just said. Oh yeah!
Correct.
5 for 5. I know my history. Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna wear a St. Patrick's Day badge. I'm gonna wear a Irish Cultural Heritage Day badge on my chest and wear it proudly.
Yep, it became an official public holiday in Ireland in 1903. This was thanks to the Bank Holiday Act of 1903, an act of the United Kingdom Parliament.
Okay.
It was introduced by an Irish member of Parliament, James O'Mara. So,
James O anything. It could have been James O anything.
right. Yeah. So.
Was there? Do you know if there were celebrations before that, or that was?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said earlier, it is a religious feast. So,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
always
that's right, that's right.
more of a religious thing. But then, you know, an official public holiday, so that way people could take the day off from work and not feel bad about it, I guess. And it's kind of, like I said, it wasn't really celebrated in Ireland a whole lot until, relatively recently. But there's been a big move to actually use more of the Irish language, especially in Ireland, where evidently from March 1st to the 17th, it's called Sictang na Gaeilge. I probably butchered that pronunciation, which basically means it's Irish Language Week, even though that's
Irish
like a
Language
2 week span. So
Yeah.
Um,
That's a long week. I
yeah,
like that. I like that. So you're
Mhm.
bringing that's a way to bring in the culture and
Right.
make it a little more relevant to history.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was tempted to make some almost disparaging remark about how Americans have taken the holiday and turned it upside down, but really, I guess the disparaging mark was going to be like we're taking somebody else's holiday and celebrating it, and there is truth to that. But so many Irish immigrants, came to
Exactly.
America, and so it's in some ways it's quote unquote appropriate that we
Yeah.
celebrate this holiday that's an Irish holiday.
Yeah. I mean, I outside of Ireland, there's like 3 main places that I think of when I think St. Patrick's Day: Chicago, New York, and Boston.
I know. Yeah,
Like,
totally. You're exactly right. Yep.
So I
Yeah, you're
mean,
exactly.
yeah.
And look, it's the same as we celebrate Cinco de Mayo here and
Mhm.
and Mexican Independence Day, and I would guess that in certain parts of the country, like San Diego, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Arizona, whatever, it's probably a larger celebration because of the population than it is in other parts of the world where there's not as big of a Mexican celebration. We'll have to figure out our Cinco de Mayo episode because that's also my mustache's 10th birthday, so we're gonna have to do both those things. All right, wow. So I just aced a quiz on St. Patrick's Day history.
did.
Unbelievable. You have one. I think you're only 1 for 4, man.
Yeah.
I'm just telling the facts. But let's see how well you know your Shamrock Shake. So, for many years, McDonald's Shamrock Shake was only available at select locations. What year did it go nationwide? Was it in 2002, 2007, 2012, or 2017?
I could care less about if it went nationwide or not because I think they're horrible shakes.
I was not sure. I was like, John's gonna go. John either loves Shamrock Shakes or he could care less. So
I don't like things that are mint flavored.
got it. Yep.
Um, I'm gonna say 2012.
2012 is your pick, John. You're 2 for 5, my friend. Good job. Yeah, I think about the mintiness of the Shamrock Shake. I think I've only had a Shamrock Shake once in my life, and I do think that I enjoyed it a lot. My memory is, wow, yeah, I get it. This is really good. I think there's something refreshing about the mint.
Right.
I also do like mint chocolate chip ice cream, and I think it's like almost like a creamier version of that, if you will.
If you
But
say so.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you like mint chocolate chip though?
No.
Okay, you don't like anything that's mint. I
No.
get that. ice cream and mint do seem like kind of clashing flavors. I do enjoy it though.
I want to know who decided that toothpaste should be mint flavored.
Oh yeah, because that's all there is. So you hate toothpaste?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Do you,
yeah.
do you ever do you use a cinnamon toothpaste? Don't they have cinnamon toothpaste?
They do, and I hate that too.
I was gonna say cinnamon toothpaste is disgusting. What about peppermint? Peppermint's that's the same
Nope.
thing, right?
Yeah, peppermint, spearmint. Like I can tell. Like I enjoy like wintergreen Altoids, and
Got
like but wintergreen's not mint. Like it's similar but different enough.
So
Like it's not. I don't even think it's in the mint family. But yeah,
we
anything
need-
mint, I'm not a fan of.
I think for John, we need to make a lemon flavored toothpaste.
There was,
yeah?
but it was lemon mint.
Oh god, yeah. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, John
The
loves
only
lemon,
toothpaste that
lemon
I
and tart things.
Yeah, the only toothpaste that I found at one point that was even tolerable was a chocolate mint one, and that like it tasted like
Ugh.
the Andes, like an Andes mint.
Oh, see, those are really good. But when I think about
Right.
brushing my teeth with that, I'm not.
Well,
into
but
it.
that's the thing. Like, who decided that mint equals clean?
That is a good question because my initial response is, "What are you talking about? Mint? It's so fresh and clean and
Right.
refreshing." But is that only because we were programmed to believe that because years and years of brushing our teeth and
Right.
chewing gum with mint stuff, or is I don't know.
Like to me, citrus seems more clean and refreshing, and
Interesting. Well, you can go bite a lemon, and I'll be here, chewing on my peppermint leaves, and we'll just have to, we'll have to agree to disagree. The Shamrock Shake was created in 1967. It was created by an owner and operator of a McDonald's in Connecticut. His name is Hal Rosen. And it was created in 67, and then it was such a huge success that by 1970 it was selling across locations in the U.S. 2012 is the year that it went nationwide. It used to be that I think McDonald's even made an app where you could track down locations that sold the Shamrock Shake, and I think that was part of the fun of it and part of the sales of it is like, oh, it's a what's the word? It's like it's not as available, so you have to go out and find it. It's but yeah, they eventually gave in and just made it everywhere. I did read somewhere, and I'd have to fact check this exactly, but it actually wasn't always mint flavored. That it initially was made of a mix of vanilla and lemon lime sherbet, which would be right up your alley, right, John? So a vanilla
I'd eat
lemon
that.
lime sherbet, yeah, me too. And it was called just St. Patrick's Day Green Shake, and I don't know, that doesn't seem to line up with the story about Hal Rosen making it in
Right.
1967. So I'm not 100% that's accurate. One of these people is lying, but what is not a lie is that the Shamrock Shake did have a mascot for many years, Uncle O'Grimacy. And if you can picture Grimace, the giant purple guy,
Mhm.
it was basically him, but he was shaped more like a chicken McNugget. He was fuzzy and he was kind of like an ugly green color, like a green carpet color. And he was creepy and terrifying. And so luckily for the world, Uncle O'Grimacy was retired many years ago. But now I want an Uncle O'Grimacy t-shirt because I want to celebrate him for the rest of my life. Let's rename it to Uncle O'Grimacy Day instead of St. Patrick's Day. That's what we should do. Happy Uncle O'Grimacy Day. Uncle O'Grimacy Day. So there you go. There we go. All right.
So I'm gonna throw an audible here, real quick.
Let's do it.
I mean, I guess that would be more of a football thing, but what else happens in March, Kevin?
March Madness.
It does.
Yeah.
And so,
NCAA
the
bracket.
NCAA bracket. So the first round actually starts on the day that this comes out, the 17th.
Yes.
Kevin and I were kind of kicking around ideas of things that we could do. I'm going to put together a Lack of Genius podcast bracket, and we'll throw the links out on social and everything. So for the patrons, you'll hear this early, so you can hear that, and we
You can get in our bracket sooner.
get in on the bracket, and maybe the winner gets a sticker.
Yeah.
Or something.
You know what? Yeah.
So-
We'll find something nice to give you. Maybe we'll have merchandise. Maybe we'll have an IOU on merchandise. But we thought it would be a fun community thing to be like, hey, let's have Lack of Genius people do a bracket together. So
Mhm.
hop on our bracket. Just because, it's fun. Just choose teams
Yeah.
based on the colors or the mascots. We don't care. Yeah, March Madness, which we don't. Maybe next week. I guess I'll edit this out when we decide what we do. But maybe we could do a March Madness episode. We didn't. We
Yeah, we could.
briefly thought about it, but we'll talk more off the air.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love your Audible, John. Way to take control, and I'm excited. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Me too.
All right. Well, until then, celebrate St. Patrick's Day / Irish Cultural Heritage Day / Uncle O'Grimacy Day responsibly and in a woke attitude. Tell your friends if you feel like sharing any of this, and if you enjoy the podcast, please let people know. We exist because of you. We grow because of you. We are on Patreon, and we definitely appreciate and value your support in any way that you see to give it. So thank you, John. Great job today, even though you went 2 for 5 and I was perfect.
You too.
All right, catch you later, dude.
See ya.